Okay, so welcome to the Scottsdale Big Book Study, where we will study the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Today's date is the 20th of December 2025. My name is Carol from Dublin, Ireland, and I will be your host. I'm a cover compulsive overeater, and I will be your host for today's study. Our co-hosts are Nancy J. and Sue, and Pam should be here soon. Please join us in this room every Saturday morning at 7:30 Pacific time, 9 and 10:30 Eastern time. We also meet Sunday through Friday at 5:30 Pacific time and 8:30 Eastern time. If you have any questions during the meeting, please contact either myself or any of the co-hosts by private message in the chat function, and the chat function will be disabled until 5 minutes before questions and answers. Please note that the speaker, Harlan G., will be recorded for the duration of the study. However, the question and answer session which follows will not be recorded. We ask if you can please make sure your microphone is on mute at all times during today's study, and please turn off your video if you're exercising, eating, or if you need to step away from your screen for any reason. During the meeting, we will post a seven-day tradition, and this money goes towards the cost of our Zoom account, the cost of uploading our recordings, and we also send contributions to Arizona Serenity in the Desert. So you will post a link of the previous recordings, and these are available by clicking on the link that will be posted in the chat box. And I will now very gratefully turn this meeting over to Harlan. Thank you, Harlan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Carol. I really appreciate that. I appreciate anyone and everyone that does service on this meeting. Without you guys, we don't have a meeting, so it is very, very important. This morning, we're going to start off on page 60, being convinced we were at step 3. Page 60, being convinced we were at step 3. But before you go to page 60, or before we get started on page 60, being convinced we were at step 3, I want to sort of get us back up to speed by looking at the ABCs, looking at that paragraph, because it's very important that we have an understanding of what are we being convinced of? What is it that we should be convinced of by this time? So we have a situation whereby we have a paragraph above where we're getting started today, and that paragraph is what we're being convinced of. Let's just take a look at that paragraph before we actually move forward. On page 60, it says, our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after made clear 3 pertinent ideas. Let's stop right there for just a second, and let's take a look at our description of the alcoholic. What are the chapters that describe the alcoholic? Well, obviously, the doctor's opinion. And in the doctor's opinion, Dr. Silkworth teaches us what is alcoholism. Alcoholism is a combination of 2 things coming together in an individual. These things are biological, they are not developed, they are in you or they're not in you. And that is a twist of the mind that drives you irresistibly into the food in search of relief from the absolute unbearable pain of not eating. Dr. Silkworth tells us in his famous opinion that when we're not eating, we're restless, irritable, and discontent. Throw in scared to death, angry as hell, throw in guilt, shame, remorse. All these various things are playing in the background of our mind, driving us into the food in search of relief from that untenable pain of not eating. He also teaches us in the doctor's opinion that we have an allergy of the body. So we have a mind that won't leave it alone, and we have a body that will not tolerate that food. What happens when I eat sugar? What happens when I eat fried foods? What happens when I eat Reese's peanut butter cups, pizza? What happens when I eat these things? Anything that that jazzes me up. What happens when I eat pizza or chocolate chip cookies? A physical reaction occurs within my body. So the main problem centers in my mind, but I also have a body that will not tolerate these foods. And when these foods are introduced into my body will set off a actual physical craving for more of the same. So if I can't eat because of the allergy and I can't keep from eating because of the mind, I am powerless over food and my life is absolutely unmanageable. Our description of the alcoholic also includes Bill's story, and it also includes there is a solution, and it also includes more about alcoholism. And we learn in these chapters that the main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than his body. But we also learn in these chapters, illustrated so beautifully and eloquently in Bill's story and described perfectly in More About Alcoholism, that the disease itself is not just a physical allergy. It isn't just a twist of the mind, but there are also three components to this disease that cannot be ignored. Number one, the disease of compulsive overeating is permanent. It never ever goes away. And we learned that abstinence does not treat this disease. I can lose weight and be abstinent, and that does not treat the disease. We see a man of 30 doing a great deal of spree drinking. He makes up his mind that until he was successful in business, he would not touch another drop. He goes 25 years and doesn't touch a drop of liquor. He retires wealthy. He picks up a bottle in his carpet slippers, and he's dead within 4 years. So the disease is permanent. The disease is also progressive. What does that mean? It means that no matter what your situation, the disease keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse, no matter whether you're in recovery or not. There is no stopping the permanence or progression of the disease. The disease is permanent, the disease is progressive, and the disease, if untreated, is fatal. 100% fatal if untreated. This disease will take you out. This disease is very powerful, very sneaky, very cunning, very patient. And this disease will speak to you just the way that you want to be spoken to. It is the world's greatest salesman, is this disease. And it will convince you that you're at a party, you're at a bar mitzvah, you're at a christening, you're at a wedding, you're at a funeral, you're at a whatever you're at, whatever it is. It's Christmas, it's New Year's, it's the 4th of August, it's the 9th of September. You can have one piece of cake. You can have one donut. You can have one piece of candy, and then you can stop. And this disease will convince you of this in the most enticing way, like the sirens summoning the sailors to the rocks. The ancient story of the sirens on the beach beckoning the sailors to come and dash their ships on the rocks. The sailors don't know they're going to do that. And then they go and they steal everything from the ships. So this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, but it's also patient, unkind, unfeeling, merciless, convincing, clever. This disease has more tricks up its sleeve than you could ever imagine. And this disease knows just how to seduce you to the food, because the disease is looking to kill you. And the disease is not just looking to kill you, it is looking to torture you on the way to death. We are all going to die. However, you can die from the disease, meaning you're going to die like my mother. Amputated leg, gangrene in the other leg. They were preparing to amputate it. Dialysis, diabetes, heart attacks, strokes, incapacity, unable to walk, unable to function. You can die like my mother did from this disease, or you can die with the disease from something else. And the death is not the worst thing, because as I've said before, and we all know this, we are all going to die. The question is, did you live while you were here? Did you live? That's the question. And you cannot live fully with this disease. You can exist with this disease. You can sort of be alive with this disease, but you're not living. You're not free. You're not able to go where you want to go and do what you want to do. The fear, the shame, the guilt, the remorse, the embarrassment of this disease, the physical limitations as you age from this disease make it impossible for you to have lived. The question is never, did you die? The question is forever, did you live while you were here? That's the question. That's the question. So as we look at the description of the alcoholic, we find that it has two properties, the allergy of the body and the twist of the mind. And it has three characteristics: permanent, progressive, and fatal. If untreated, this disease is 100% fatal. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, that's chapter 4, to the agnostic. And in that chapter is the thesis line of the big book of AA. And the thesis line of the book is on page 45 that says the main object of this book is to help you find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. The main object of this book is not to get you to where you're not drinking. That's part of it, yes. And notice that chapters preceding chapter 4 are all about step 1. But in chapter 2, we find that the main object of this book is to help you find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. Because abstinence alone does not treat this disease. I want to keep saying that, so hopefully it will sink in. And the only way you're going to remember that is to teach it to others. Clancy Imislund, famous AA speaker, I love him. He said, "We do not learn this program by absorbing spiritual information. We learn this program by transmitting spiritual information." And that's why I put such emphasis on sponsoring and teaching, because it's very important. But it's very important to remember that only a spiritual awakening as the result of the steps will treat this disease. We have an illness that only a spiritual awakening will conquer. That the main object of this book is to help you find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. So the main object of my life is to find a higher power which will solve my problem. It also says in chapter 4, do I believe, or am I willing to believe, that there is a power greater than myself? I don't have to be a theologian to work this program. I don't have to be a rabbi or a priest or a minister or an imam. I don't have to be a medicine man. I don't have to be a man of religion to work this program. And I don't have to figure anything out. One of the biggest wastes of time I hear every day is people are trying to figure it out. Figuring it out is a useless waste of time. Just do it. Do I believe, Or am I willing to believe that there is a power greater than myself which will solve my problem? Am I so pompous and egotistical that I think I am the be all and the end all of the world? That the world began and started with me? I don't think so. There is a power greater than myself. It doesn't have to be a religious God. It doesn't have to be the God of the Torah or the New Testament or the Quran or anything. It can be whatever you decide that it is. You make that decision. We don't. I have no right. I have no privilege. I have no license. I have no anything to tell you what God is or what God is not. I only have to know two things about God. There is one, and it's not me. There is one, and it's not me. If I start with that, I'm good. And my relationship with God changes over the decades as my life changes. And I need things from God that I didn't need from God 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. My life changes. And God adapts to my life. God adapts to those things. He meets me where I am. But there's two things I need to know about God. There is one, and it's not me. It says here in our personal adventures, those are the stories in the back of the book. What are those stories essentially about? Well, we have a book in that's not in our program, but it's called The Varieties of Religious Experience by William James. And the Oxford groupers were reading that book. And what is that book about? It's painful reading. It's very hard to read that book. But what is the book about essentially? What happened? What they're like now? What happened? What happened? And what they were like. Sorry, I knew I'd get there eventually. What they were like, what happened, and what they're like now. What does that mean? What happened? How did they discover God? How did they discover the need for God? Through torture, through pain. God tries to get my attention without pain. He sent me doctors who screamed at me from the time I was 4 to lose weight. He sent me adults to try to convince me not to eat candy bars. He showed me that my pants didn't fit. He showed me different things, but he only got my attention through some pretty drastic measures. Thank God he got my attention. Thank God. That we were A, B, C. That we were alcoholic, allergy of the body, twist of the mind, and could not manage our own lives. There's the understatement of the year. That I am a compulsive overeater and I cannot manage my own life. That probably no human power could have relieved my alcoholism. Nothing that is of this earth, nothing that is of this earth is going to help me. Money won't fix it. Fame won't fix it. Poverty won't fix it. Obscurity won't fix it. Being female won't fix it. Being male won't fix it. Just ask Mama Cass Elliott. Just ask Karen Carpenter. Just ask Chris Farley. Just ask John Candy. Just ask Aretha Franklin. Just ask all of the people that were at the top of their game that could not beat this disease. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. That God could and would if he were sought. When I walk to God, he runs to me. I have never done the work of this program. And the key is I've never done the work where I didn't see miracles on the other side. I am sick of watching people call me up and say, I'm not feeling the miracles of the program. Well, have you done the work? Well, no, not really. Are you abstinent? No, I was for about a week 4 years ago. but I keep coming to meetings and I'm not feeling it. You got to do more than come to meetings. I'm glad you're here this morning. I'm really glad you're here this morning. Today would have been my wedding anniversary if my wife didn't fall in love with somebody else and walk out on me. But the bottom line is that I'm really glad you're here. But coming here to listen to me is not going to relieve your compulsive overeating. I'm sorry to tell you that. I'm not going to say anything today that's going to help you stay on your diet. You have to do the work. Sorry to tell you that. Kim G out in New Jersey, a giant of a person in recovery, a giant. She says, we're very sorry you didn't get the results from the work you didn't do. So if you're doing the work, you're getting some results. If you're not doing the work and you're just coming to meetings and coming to me this morning, I got bad news for you. Let's go to page 60. Being convinced. We were at step 3. I'm toward the bottom of the page, second to the last paragraph. Being convinced. Convinced of what? Of the ABCs. We were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood him. What is our will? Our will is our thinking, and our life is our actions. Our will is our thinking, and our life is our actions. Just what do we mean by that? And just what do we do? Now, we're going to be discussing the first character defect. A woman called me up not long ago. It was a Sunday afternoon, and she told me she had 107 character defects. I said, nope, you're over by about 102. You have 5 character defects. 5. That's it. That's all you get. 5. Everything else, like perfectionism and overthinking and being late and yelling at your husband and whatever, those are behaviors that emanate from the character defects. There are 5 character defects: selfish, self-seeking, resentment, fear, and dishonesty. I'm going to go over that again. Here are the 5 character defects. Selfishness. What is selfishness? It's the script you have in your head. You are convinced that the world would be better off if they did things your way. The world and its people would be better off if they would just listen to you. That they would be better off if they would listen to you, and not only would you be better off, but they would too. Selfish is the script that you have. Self-seeking is your manipulative powers to get people to stick to your script. Sometimes you're very nice to them. You kiss their ass or you kick their ass. Sometimes you're very mean, but self-seeking is the manipulation that you use to get people to stick to your script. Resentment and fear are self-explanatory. Resentment means to re-feel. It comes from 2 old words, which means to do over again. Sentiment comes from an old word, sentire, which means to feel. So it's to re-feel old hurts, old injuries. Resentment is always, I didn't get my way in the past. Fear, R, reverse, F, forward. Fear is, I might not get my way in the future, and that's where fear comes from. You might ask me, or the world might ask me, to give up something I don't want to let go of, or take away something I think I'm going to need. That's fear. And then there's dishonesty, which means not only do I lie to others, but what lies do I tell myself? Selfish, self-seeking, resentment, fear, and dishonesty are the 5 character defects. Perfectionism and yelling at your wife or yelling at your husband, being late all the time, being inconsiderate, being whatever. Those all come from manifestations of those 5 defects. That's where those come from. That's where those behaviors come from. Let's go to the bottom of 60. The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Are you convinced that your way sucks? How's that working for you? How's it working for you? And I have to be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. How do I get convinced of that? By looking at my life and understanding that my life run my way suck the wazoo. It simply suck the wazoo. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. We're describing in this paragraph the character defect of selfishness, but it says here, not but and. On that basis, we're almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Oh, I was just trying to help. I was just trying to give you some advice. Keep your advice under your hat, unless asked. Say it once, and if you say it again, it's nagging. And if you keep wanting to say it, get your butt to Al-Anon. Keep your eyes on your own paper. Get your butt to Al-Anon if this is a big problem. Our motives are good. You know, the road to hell is paved with good intention. The road to hell is paved with good intention. Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. Don't we often do that with the people closest to us? If this one would only do this and that one would only do that, we talk about it behind their back. Why doesn't she see that? Why doesn't he do that? Why don't they go here? Why don't they go there? Why don't they do this? Why doesn't she do that? Why doesn't he do that? I don't have all the answers. I'm not God. I don't know what's best for me, let alone another person. I think I know because I'm egotistical, but I really don't. I don't know what's good for another person. I just don't. If his arrangements, top of 61, if his arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as he wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including himself, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. No, it wouldn't. Because I'm going to find other stuff to complain about. I'm going to find other stuff that this one should do and that one should do. And they're not doing it right. Yes, I told him not to work that job A. I told him to work job B, but he's not doing it right. She's not doing it right. In Yiddish, there's an expression, a zoigatus. And a zoigatus means there's always something. There's always something. There's always something to complain about. There's always something to think if it was only different, everything would be okay. Okay? Top of page 61. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, he is more likely to have varied traits. In other words, we are going to either be nice or we're going to be mean. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. But we are going to manipulate people as best we can to do what we think they should do, to stick to our script. On the other hand, he may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest, but as with most humans, he is more likely to have varied traits. In other words, same thing. We're going to do what we're going to do to get people to stick to the script. Okay. What usually happens? This is the character defect of self-seeking. Self-seeking is the manipulation that we use to get people to stick to our script. What usually happens? The show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think life doesn't treat him right. He decides to exert himself more. He becomes, on the next occasion, still more demanding or gracious, as the case may be. Still, the play does not suit him. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. We do 5 things and we do them very well. All addicted people do 5 things and they do them as naturally as they breathe. They lie to themselves and others. They assign blame. Wait a minute. They assign blame. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. If she would just get off my back about how fat I'm getting, I wouldn't eat so much. There's a lie. If only that damn doctor would just not scream at me, I wouldn't eat so much. There's a lie. I'm not eating because the doctor screamed at me. That may be a convenient excuse, but I'm eating because I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm not eating because of another person. It may seem that way, but that's another lie. We assign blame, we keep score, we fight battles that just don't exist. There's 5 things or 5 things. These are the things all addicts do. They lie, they assign blame. There's 4 things, not 5, 4 things. They lie, they assign blame, they keep score in their relationships. You gave my daughter $20 for her birthday, and I gave your daughter $50 for her birthday. We keep score and we fight battles that just don't exist. Those damn Republicans, those darn Democrats, those darn Irishmen, those darn whatever, those English, those whatever they are, the liberals, the conservative, we're out there and we're fighting battles that don't exist. They don't exist. Those battles are killing most of us, and no one cares. I'm out there with my lance and my steed, and I'm fighting the battle against this, and I'm fighting the battle against that. And all that happens is I run the lance into a tree, I get knocked off my horse, and I get injured every time. Every time. We lie, we assign blame, we keep score, and we fight battles that just don't exist. He becomes angry, indignant, self-pitying. If only these people would do what I wanted them to do. What is his basic trouble? Is he not really a self-seeker, manipulator? Even when trying to be kind. Again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I have a 30-year-old daughter. She just turned 30 on December 14th. She's got a script of her own. I'll give you her phone number. You can give her a call, tell her what you think. You might hear some words that you don't like. One of them rhymes with truck, and the other one rhymes with, well, whatever. You can draw the picture yourself. She's 30 years old. Go call her up and tell her what you think she should do with her life. She'll be happy to hear from you. I promise you. She'll be very happy to hear from you until the next sound you hear will be her hanging up in your face. She'd be very happy to take your advice. I'll give you her phone number. Is he not really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? Is he not a victim of the delusion? What's a delusion? Delusion is something that appears real, but it is not real. That he can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if only he manages well. I don't have all the answers. I don't have any of the answers, but I think I do. I'm so smart. I'm so wise. I'm so worldly. If only you would just listen to me, everything would be fantastic. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't even know what's good for me. There are things about my life that I wish were different. There are decisions I made that I wish were different. There are things I do even today in recovery that I regret doing at some point after doing them. Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things he wants? We see right through each other. And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Is he not even in his best moments a producer of confusion rather than harmony? I know you want to help, and I want to help too. But are we really the experts on somebody else's life? Not usually. Bottom of 61. Our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He's like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation, the minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century, politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. The outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him, and the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations, are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self-pity. We all sit around, oh, those people in this country, oh, those people in that country, oh, those people over there. If only they would do this, and if only they would do that. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. And it's very apparent to me that I don't, but I still keep thinking that I do. Selfish, the script, self-seeking, the manipulation I use to get people to stick to my script. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles, driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation, but we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. Think about that. Sometimes you think you're giving good advice and people chastise you for it. People tell you they don't want your advice. Keep it to yourself. That hurts, doesn't it? But we put ourselves in that position. We put ourselves in that position, did we not? So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves. And the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness, the script. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible. How does it kill you? By driving you into the food. And we're going to be talking a lot about that in the weeks to come. I think I know best, but Joe and Fred and Mary and Cindy and Lucy, they won't stick to my script. They just won't stick to my script. And so I get angry, indignant, scared. Because if only they loved me and if only they realized how important I am, they would stick to my script. And that drives me into the food. Because my brain is in search of relief from the untenable pain of not eating. And the pain of not eating is too great for me to bear. The pain of eating is too great for me to bear. And so I eat in search of relief. I trigger the allergy. I pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to eat that way again. And I will repeat that cycle over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. The mind telling me that this candy bar makes perfect sense, and the body ensuring it does not. And this is what's been going on from the day I was born. This is the how and the why of it. We're getting now into causes and conditions of my eating disorder. No longer are we treating a symptom with a food plan. No longer are we treating a symptom with a pay-and way. No longer are we treating a symptom with merely weight loss. We're getting down to the causes and conditions of my eating disorder. Page 62. And there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. I cannot overcome my selfishness and my self-seeking any more than I can overcome your selfishness and your self-seeking or my eating disorder. I have to have God's help so I can live my best life. I cannot just control this. Now that I see this and I want to control it, it's still beyond my ability to control it. Many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but we could not live up to them even though we would have liked to. Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. A broken brain cannot fix a broken brain. We have to stop trying to fix this by putting up our dukes and just exercising our willpower. We are all products of Western culture. And we all read when we were children, The Little Engine That Could. And there was a little engine, and he had to get up the mountain. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And he gets up the mountain, and everybody cheers him. And they'll bring people out on television. Here's a self-made man, never asked for any help in his life, and everybody will get up and clap. Western culture does not inculcate youth with a need for help, with a respect for help. It rewards and it deifies the people that do everything on their own. And we are all products of the Western culture, and it's killing us. I need help. I can't do it alone. I need the help of God. I need the help of others. I cannot do this on my own. How many times have I been in situations where I wanted to eat, but I refused to call? I refused to reach out to somebody. I tried to willpower my way through it, and I ended up eating thousands of them. We need to start teaching children that at times it is perfectly wonderful to ask for help. That it is perfectly fantastic to ask for help. Because that's the idealism. That is the thinking that is going to save us. I can't do this on my own. I need help. This is too much for me. I need the help of God, and I need the help of other people. Bottom of page 62. This is the how and the why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. By playing God, what he's talking about is, I don't have any of the answers, let alone all the answers. On page 417 of the big book, it says, I once thought being an alcoholic was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Now I find it's the best thing that could ever happen to me. And if I don't know what's good for me, then I don't know what's good for you or anyone. Playing God means I'm up here with my high horse in my ego, thinking I know what's best. The Acme Judgment Company could put an office in my head and it would kill me, because judging other people and thinking I know what's best is what led me to 700 pounds. It's what led me to missing out on decades of my life. It's what led me to be a person that was a freak, that was an object of ridicule. I couldn't get in and out of a car. I looked like a sideshow from the circus. Children would laugh at me. Adults would laugh at me. I don't want to live that way anymore. I have to quit playing God. What does playing God have to do with my intake of Reese's peanut butter cups? Everything. Everything. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. Go to a movie set. What does the director do? Calls the shots. You stand over there. You're very sad. Your mother just killed herself. You're very happy to be helping her. She's falling in love with the director on the movie set is telling everybody what to do and how to do it. God is going to be the director, not Harlan. There are two things I need to know about God. There is one, and it's not me. He is the principal, and we are his agents. Bill likes to use business metaphors. What does that mean? He is the principal, and we are his agents. Ever buy a house? The person that the realtor and the client have a relationship, and it's called a fiduciary relationship. And if you're a realtor or a lawyer, you have a fiduciary or a financial advisor, you have a legal fiduciary duty to put the needs of your client above the needs of yourself. You're selling your house. This agent, this realtor is acting on your behalf to do your bidding, to get your house sold at the highest possible price possible. The buyer's realtor is looking to buy it at the lowest price possible. And so they sometimes clash, but eventually they'll work it out and the transaction goes. I am the agent and God is the principal. I am here to do his work. I represent him. Weird thing about Harlan, sometimes he walks around thinking he's God. Weird thing about God, he never walks around earth thinking he's Harlan. Weird. What's wrong with that God? He never walks around thinking he's Harlan. What the hell? So the bottom line is, I am acting on God's behalf. He is the principal. I am the agent. He is the father, and we are his children. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, from wherever you are, I hear good. My father was this, or my father was that. My father did this, and my father didn't do that. This is the perfect father. This is the father you always dreamed of having. This is the father of the universe, and he is your father as much as he is mine. And he is the father of all races, all creeds, all colors, all religions, all everything. He is the father of the world. And he does not discriminate between this kind of person and that kind of person and this religion and that religion and this race and that race and this creed and that creed. He is the father of us all. And we are his children. We are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we passed to freedom. How free do you want to be? What are you willing to do? It's not just about the food. When it is about the food, then it's about the food. But when it's not, because we're already past step one, and that's the last step where food is mentioned, is step one. Now we're into the program of OA. Now we're into the steps. This is step three, is the realization that these things, and how do I work step three? By doing the rest of the steps. How do I work step three? By doing 4 through 12 every day for the rest of your life. Top of 63, here are the third step promises. When we sincerely took such a position, what position? The position where God is the director, where I am the agent and he is the principal. That's the position that we're talking about. All sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer. Did you see that E in employer is capitalized? He's talking about God. I'm here to work for God. I'm here to work for God. Being all powerful, He provided what we needed if we kept close to Him and performed His work well. Sometimes well, not sometimes, 6 days a week, I walk 3 miles. And on my walk, there's a big sign and it says Powerball, $82 bazillion, and Mega Millions, $95 bazillion, and this lottery and that lottery. They're not giving anything to anybody. They're not giving any. You got to buy the ticket. The chances that you're going to win something are about 300 million to 1 against you. You'd be better off betting that you'd be struck by lightning today than you would winning that money. Your mathematical odds today of being struck by lightning are far greater than you winning the lottery. True fact. I'm not making this up. I'm not a mathematician, as you know, but the odds are better that you will be struck by lightning today than you will winning that money. But I never won that money, but I have everything I need. I have a car outside. It's brand new. It's got 2,500 miles on it. I got a house. It's not a great house. It's not going to be an Architectural Digest. It's nothing to be that proud of, but I could spit on the wall if I want to. It's my house. And it keeps me warm in the winter, and it keeps me cool in the summer. It's my house, and it's got a TV, and I'm going to be watching the college football playoffs later, and I'll be watching the Bears if I can. And you know what? It's my house. I have what I need. I got a roof over my head. I got clothes. See, I got clothes. I got enough to pay my bills. I don't owe anybody a nickel. I owe the mortgage, that's it. But you know the truth? If I wanted to, I could pay off the house today. I go into the bank, maybe not today, maybe Monday. I go into the bank Monday and pay off the house. No more mortgage. No more mortgage. I have what I need. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. I was always a taker. What are you going to do for me? Yes, I'll give you a dime, but you better give me $40. I'll give you a dime, but you better be there with much, much more for me. That's the kind of deal I wanted to make. Or I wanted to do a deal with God that said quid pro quo. What is quid pro quo? It's a legal term. It's Latin. You do this and I'll do that. Okay? I wanted to go quid pro quo. Okay, God, I'll sponsor this guy. He's a difficult guy. I'll sponsor that guy. He's a difficult guy. Now, bring me a Mercedes. Now, give me a house like what's down the street. Right? 2 blocks from where I live are homes that cost $15 million to buy. I'm in one of the wealthiest zip codes in the country. We're in the top 10 zip codes for wealth right here in Scottsdale, Arizona. But I don't own those houses. I own my little patio home. I own my little house. And my house is just fine for me. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, everything I touched turned to garbage. As we became conscious of His presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, or the hereafter. We were reborn. I have been reborn in every way you can imagine a human being has been reborn. I started out life scared to death. I started out life as a person who was absolutely convinced that I could not fit into this world. Not physically fit in, not emotionally fit in. There was something about the way you lived your life that I said, I don't have what they have. I compared my shaky, broken insides to your seemingly composed and together outsides constantly. I was jealous. I was angry. I was nuts. Today, I live my life. Now, there are times I get scared and there are times I get angry. I'm human. That's why we have steps. That's why we have what we have. But I realize today at a very high level of consciousness that I have been provided everything that anyone could be provided for. Are there things about my life I wish were different? You bet your bippy I do. I wish I was retired. I wish I didn't have to work. I hate what I do. I love to be retired. I can't retire. I can't. I don't have the money. But I have enough. My bills are paid. And my work isn't that hard. It's not, nobody's asking me to dig ditches or, anything like that. I wish, whatever. There are things I wish were different. Maybe someday they will be. Maybe someday they won't be. But all in all, it's a good life. And I walk 3 miles a day, 6 days a week, and my blood work is good and my health is good. I don't weigh 700 pounds anymore. When I look in the mirror, I see a person that doesn't look that different from his friends. Maybe I'm a little slumped over more than I'd like to be. Maybe there are things about my life that, will improve in certain areas. I don't know. But the bottom line is I have a good life. I have friends. I love them. They love me. Some of them died this year. 3 of them died this year. That's painful. I'm not going to say it was painful. It is painful, present tense. But I know that there's a God, and I know that that's a lot to know. And I have not found it necessary to compulsively overeat in 26 years, 300 and some days. In just 9 days from now, on December the 29th, if I make it, I will have 27 years of abstinence. I couldn't get 27 minutes of abstinence in the past. I couldn't get 27 minutes when I was a young boy growing up in Chicago. Couldn't do it. There is much to be grateful for. There is much to thank God for. And I thank God every day for this program. Without it, I would be not only dead, but I never would have lived. I never would have been alive. When I was a young boy, most of the friends of my father came out of the concentration camps in Europe. And they would grab my face and they would kiss me and say, live until you die. Live until you die. And I thought that meant that I'm supposed to eat all the Reese's peanut butter cups, Almond Joys, Charleston Chews, and Milk Duds that I could get my hands on. And what I found out is it means something much, much different. It means that I go for the gusto, that I live my life according to God's wishes and God's rules. And when I do that, my life is as good as it gets. Nobody gets a rose garden out here. Nobody. So next week, we're going to start with the 3rd step prayer, and we're going to get into step 4. And we're going to explain a lot of things about step 4 that I hope will be very helpful for you. We're going to talk about uncover, discover, and discard. We're going to talk about the things in our makeup which have been driving us into the food. we're going to talk about the very things that we didn't see when we first came in because we thought it was just about losing weight. It's about much, much more. And oh, by the way, I've lost a little over 500 pounds since the beginning. So come back next week. If you celebrate Christmas, have a wonderful, Merry Christmas. We have our night meetings, but if all you attend are these Saturday morning meetings, that means that the next time we meet, it's going to be after Christmas. Have a beautiful, fabulous, bountiful, joyous, Merry Christmas to you and yours. And we hope that you'll come back next week. So I'm going to turn it back over to Carol in Ireland, and we're going to go to questions and answers.